What's up, guys? This is the Inferno Squad, and you're watching Rich Boy J.
Hello, boyos. Rich Boy J here, back with another video, and this is going to be episode 29 of Your Questions Answered. Your Questions Answered is a Q&A series that I do here on this channel, so if you want to see your questions in one of these videos, leave it in the comment section below, then check back next week to see if you made the cut. Very special thanks to Empire Brick Studios for making that intro for me. I always like to reach out to you guys and ask you to submit custom intros for these videos, so if you have something creative you'd like to share, or something just funny and not really serious at all, definitely send it to me. Make sure it's obviously appropriate for my channel and specifically one of these videos, and I will be more than happy to put it at the beginning of one of these videos. Without further ado, guys, let's jump into the first question. First question comes from Giannis Adentacumpo. He says, if you write on your Lego minifigure with Sharpie, is there any way to get that off without damaging the figure? I'm pretty sure that you can actually just do that by taking like an Expo marker, writing over the Sharpie, and then using like the Expo eraser to get all of it off. I'm pretty sure that works. So if you've fallen victim to trying to customize your own Lego minifigures with a permanent marker, that can definitely be a way to restore them to their original condition. Next question is by Golden Brick Productions. He says, what are your shelves called and where can we find them? So my shelves, the ones like the big ones behind me, are Keter brand. I think that's what it's called. I got them from Home Depot, I believe, but I'm sure you can get them at like Lowe's as well. Any like hardware store or anything like that, you can find it. Pros about those shelves, they're very strong. They obviously can handle all these giant UCS sets at the top and then various sets throughout. So it has a lot of space as well. A gray base plate basically fits almost perfectly on it. So, you know, if you're showing off gray base plate deep builds, it is perfect for that, like that Hawk build that I have right there. The only negative to them is that they have like vents in the bottom, which basically holes in the bottom, so you have to be very careful with placing ships on it, like the landing gears. If it's a ship with landing gears, I have to be like very particular with how I place it, so like the landing gears don't like fall through the holes. So that's really the only negative about it. So I don't know, maybe if I was like shopping for them nowadays, I would look for ones that don't have holes in them. It just makes things a little bit easier. But thank you for your question. Next question comes from Lego Fan Man. He says, which Star Wars character that died in The Last Jedi do you want back in the new movie, and which do you want dead in the new movie? That's a great question. For the first part of it, I don't want to see anyone back. I've gotten enough of dead Star Wars characters returning. Darth Maul! And insofar as characters that I want to see dead in the new film, first one has to be Kylo Ren. He killed our beloved Han Solo. There is no coming back from that in my mind. There is no redemption. Kylo's gotta go. So that be the number one death I'd want to see in the new films. Second behind Kylo, I'm going to say Rose. And before you guys have a reaction to that, I actually don't really dislike Rose as a character. I know a lot of people hate her more than Jar Jar apparently. I don't really have a problem with her at all, except for the fact that she might be coming between the relationship of Finn and Rey, and if it means her having to die to not come between that, then that's the way it's gotta go. Next question comes from Parker Dye. He says, I have my license now. Should I buy a car or Lego? Come on, Lego. A car is cool and all, but Lego will take you places a car cannot go, like Crate or Scarif or Mustafar. The next question is somewhat of a two-parter. Basically, these two people had very similar questions, so I decided to just group them together. Saxophone Trooper Studio says, what's your favorite Clone Wars vehicle? And then Mellow Yellow, I'm guessing that might be J-Lo? Mellow Yellow J-Lo? I know you pretty much dislike all the prequel trilogy, but what is your favorite vehicle from the prequels? So before I continue with this question, I do just want to clear up, while I do not like the prequel films, that does not mean I have no appreciation for the things in the prequels. In fact, I have often said that the prequels have given us some of the best Star Wars vehicles. I'd say probably the best Star Wars vehicles come from the prequels. I mean, really, what are large-scale battles in Star Wars without the prequels? So I definitely appreciate them for that. So as far as my favorite vehicle, the Republic gunship is by far my favorite vehicle in all of Star Wars, not just the prequels. The Republic gunship is just a beautiful ship. It's funny how like the Lego set is what kind of got me interested in the Republic gunship, and then like that love extended into the actual canon of Star Wars. It's just such a great and awesome ship. Gotta go with the Republic gunship. Nothing tops that. Next question is by Lego Gamer 5502. He says, when/if they make a 501st battle pack, what would you build? And then he later includes, I would build a Clone Wars mock like David Hall. So yeah, I did put that lyric in the song, and I guess I gotta live up to it. So Honestly, if I was going to build a MOC with the 501st Battle Pack, if I got it day one, what was the first MOC I would build? The thing that comes to my mind that I would most like to do is probably the scene from Star Wars Episode 3, whenever Zet Jukasa, I guess, kind of rescues Bail Organa from the 501st clone troopers that are telling him to leave, and he, of course, ends up dying, which is very sad, but I actually did quite like that scene as a kid, and I would love to recreate it in LEGO now, especially with a bunch of 501st troopers. It'd be a cool way to, I guess, come up with a custom Bail Organa figure and a custom Zet Jukasa figure as well. And I don't know, I really do like that scene, so I would definitely build that. The obvious choices outside of that are going to be, you know, like Umbara, the storm on the Jedi Temple, so that would actually have to be quite a large-scaled MOC. I probably wouldn't do a Jedi Temple until long after people have forgotten about Chris Productions. That's not the kind of competition I need. But yeah, 501st Battle Pack. Still waiting on it. Next question comes from Batarang. He says, if you had to pick a favorite Clone Wars style minifig, who'd it be? This is a great question. It actually kind of made me laugh when I first read it. And it's basically like asking me, out of all the awful minifigures, which one is the least awful, or which few are the least awful? And if I had to pick just one singular figure, I think I might go with Evan Peel. I think probably the fact that he only has one eye detracts from the big ugly bug eyes that he normally would have. Maybe he's like half as ugly because he only has half of the amount of eyes, but like Evan Peel is actually a decent looking figure. He has a little bit more detail than a lot of the older Clone Wars figures, and also I think that you could use him pretty reasonably with a MOC with like movie style Jedi. I don't think that he would stick out too much besides being very short and ugly. Other than that, I also really do like the Shock T figure. This isn't one that has a ton of detail, but it's the only Shock T that we have, so I have to appreciate it a little bit. I think in general the aliens that they do like in Clone Wars styling look better than the humans for the most part. There are a few exceptions, however. Asajj Ventress is hideous, but for the most part a lot of the aliens definitely look better than a lot of the human characters. So yeah, those are my favorite Clone Wars style minifigures. Never thought I'd be saying nice thing about Clone Wars figures on this series, now did you? Next question comes from Jim Bimblow. He says, what is your favorite scene from the prequels? Man, this is a hard question. I actually had to stop the camera and like really think deeply about what is my favorite scene from the prequels. And a few came to mind. I think I really like the Geonosis sequence. Mainly the battle, not really much of the other stuff. But yeah, Geonosis is my favorite like Star Wars battle in the prequels, so probably got to go with that. That's definitely at the top. I do quite like the pod race sequence as well. I don't know why, it just always stuck out to me as a kid, so I like it. I like the lore that it adds to Star Wars. It's really a cool idea that was executed, I think, pretty well in the prequels, so that's at the top of my list as well. Now, as for my favorite scene that I like not just because it's cool, but really for a deeper reason, probably got to go with the scene where Anakin and Padme are talking in the grass in episode 2, which is kind of funny to think about. But basically when he tells her, like, I don't understand why politicians can't just sit in a room, decide what's best for people and do it. And then Padme is just like, that's what we do, but sometimes people don't agree, and that's where the issues arise. And then Anakin is just like, well, maybe they should be made to. And she's just like, what? He was literally sitting there and tells her, like, yeah, I basically support a fascist dictatorship. Wait, what? Huh? Who said that? You're pretty. Do you hate sand? I also hate sand. Do we have a mutual hatred of sand? Outside of the jokes, I thought that was just a really good character development moment for Anakin, where he really shows you the Darth Vader in him, the Vader we know from the original trilogy. Like, that's him right there. That's kind of that mentality forming in him. And I thought that was really a good scene by George Lucas. So great job, George. The final question is going to come from Square Brick Studio. He says, Finn and Rey or Han and Leia? Now, you guys might be a little bit surprised by my answer to this, but I'm actually going to go with Finn and Rey. And mainly because they are our two big protagonists in the new films. I don't know what it is about Star Wars films, but they hate having the main protagonist get the girl, which I would like to see change for a change. I do actually really want to see Finn and Rey end up together. That's probably the biggest thing I would like to see from this new Star Wars film coming up. So fingers crossed, JJ, please make it happen. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Han and Leia, classic relationship. I'm not going to downplay that at all. Obviously, that's the best relationship we've seen form on screen in a Star Wars film. So, I mean, beautifully executed. But I mean, I don't know. There's just something about the fact that like our protagonists never get the girl that it's kind of annoying with Star Wars. Like, I mean, Luke is kind of pursuing Leia in the first set of films, and obviously they don't end up together. And then George doubled down on that by making them siblings, so then they absolutely cannot be together. In Rebels, Filoni kind of hints at Ezra being interested in Sabine, but that never amounts to anything. So like once again, the protagonist never gets the girl. I don't understand why that can never happen. So for this new trilogy, I'm hoping we change that and have Finn end up with Rey. And I know a lot of you are going to say, okay, Anakin gets Padme in the prequels, but I don't really get the impression that there are very many people in the theater like cheering and rooting on for Anakin to get Padme. In fact, that relationship probably shouldn't have happened. He was very creepy to her. But yeah, that's going to finish up this week's episode of Your Questions Answered. First, if you want to see one of your questions answered in one of these videos, leave it in the comment section below, then check back next week to see if you made the cut. Second, I'm always recruiting people to send me intros for these videos. I've been on a bit of a streak lately, so I want to continue that. So guys, definitely send those intros in. I would definitely appreciate it. It's a good way for you to get exposure and just a cool creative thing for me to put at the beginning of one of these videos. And then finally, like I always say, guys, if you like what I do, go ahead, support the video by smashing that like button and support the channel by smashing the subscribe button. And I'll be back again very soon.